Hello everyone, welcome to the second Esports Racing Canada lap guide video. Today we are in the Formula 4 car at Gilles Villeneuve because it is the week of the Canadian Grand Prix. So thought we'd do a little something special here, but going to show you my hot lap, then get right into the lap guide part of the video. Once again, the weather is the same for the race and the practices, so don't need to worry about that. You can take this as a direct reference, but yeah, let's jump right into the hot lap. Alright, so now on to the lap guide. I do just want to mention that the F4 car was updated in this most recent update. The dry tires and the wet tires were updated, so it does feel quite a bit different to the previous build of the tires. It kind of feels like you don't have to trail brake as much. You can just do a lot more threshold braking and then dropping the brakes fairly quickly, just getting that rotation initiated, and then just dropping the brakes a bit quicker as you go through the corner. So not as much like 10% braking or as much of that kind of braking, just as you saw in the hot lap and what you're about to see, it's a lot more just kind of like a square shape in the braking. But yeah, so coming on to the first corner here, there is a bend to the right which can catch you out, so you just want to make sure that you bring your car to the right hand side as fast as possible and as soon as possible, aligning yourself perpendicular to this white line on the right. Using all the track on entry, I didn't do that, which I should have been doing, but you want your right side wheels on this white line. Braking just at the beginning of this concrete here. Anywhere in between here you can kind of brake depending on your brake bias, but I was running 57.2 and I found right at the start of this concrete was optimal. But hard on the brakes, 85, 90%, maybe 95 peak pressure. I find in the new update you can hit 100 to 95% initially without locking up and then holding that for a bit. But braking in a straight line, downshifting twice I think it is, and you can see I start turning in and releasing the brakes simultaneously, and you can just see the car starts rotating by itself. Dropping the brakes fairly quickly, holding a bit there but still dropping. Getting my wheels over this curb here, and you can see I am throttling before I even reach the apex, which you can do. And that's a trick that you can do on any apex or like curb, any 3D curb. You can touch the throttle and it will lift the fronts up. So the impact that you will get between the front tires and the curb will be lesser, smaller. But yeah, apexing right in the middle, throttling to 50%, getting right over the curb. You can afford to get over that without bottoming out too much, but then coming out on exit, drifting, not, you don't want to drift out all the way to this white line here, because you want to be thinking ahead to turn 2 and the small straight on the exit of that, and you want to get the best exit possible on that exit. So having the car come out to mid-track is the best. And as soon as I hit about 100% throttle, I'm back on the brakes, as you can see, and getting the car slowed down just in time, braking around this dark line here, apexing and hugging the white line here, getting back on throttle just lightly, because I found I was getting some oversteer if I put any more throttle, and that would just give me a poor exit and make me drift wide. So making sure you don't put too much throttle and steering combined, otherwise you will spin. Running all the way wide on exit. Heading into turn 3 here, I was using a mix of this blue sign and this one board as my braking reference. So as I pass the start of the blue signage, I am braking. Again, you want your left side wheels aligned with this white line, which for some reason I am not doing. But that is precious time to be gained through there. Braking a straight line here, turning in fairly early-ish, just so you can apex and hit this curb here. I find you want to cut this curb as much as possible so you have a good exit out of the next corner. Otherwise, if you're too tight, you're going to have to lift and possibly brake. So apexing right here, getting your wheels over this sausage curb here, and exiting into the middle of the track, and then quick change of direction so the car reacts quickly. And you can, if you do the first corner right, run your wheels over this grass a bit, and that doesn't give you a 1x unless you are the middle point of the car is over that. I think that's the rule anyways. But running all the way wide on exit, as wide as possible, using all the track, because there's precious time there. This little section here is fairly easy, but you can get caught out and lose time through here. Making sure you're not all the way over here, because then you'll have to turn left and then turn right, and it just makes the track longer and scrubs off too much speed. So tires on this curb here, hugging this white line and wall early, but then drifting a bit wide on exit so you don't scrub too much speed off, but you're also thinking ahead once again for this corner. So you can see that the grass ends here at this point as the concrete starts, and you want to be aiming to put your right hand side tires on that concrete. So I'm braking just before this concrete wall ends here, and I am braking in a straight line, just missing out on that grass, putting my wheels on this white line. You can go a bit wider if you set it up properly, but that would just cause you to go wider on entry. Apexing fairly late here because the track does go backwards, and then there's another right hand turn, so you want to set that up as best as possible so you can get a good exit out of there. But once again, hitting this sausage curb here can kind of pull you in towards the corner a bit more. So apexing around this point right here, and then flat out. Again, quick change of direction just so the fronts react quickly. You can get some oversteer through this corner as well if you steer too much and too early. So hugging tight to this apex and white line here, and then running wide all the way to the red and white curb. Onto the next corner. This one is pretty tricky because it is a very fast chicane, like most of these corners are, but there are also some big sausage curbs on each apex point, which you want to be aiming for, but you have to time it correctly to be able to extract the most amount of time through both these corners. So braking just after the 2 board, hitting 95 to 100% if the car can handle it, depending on the brake bias you're running. This corner I did align my left-hand side wheels to the white line, braking a straight line, turning in just after the grass begins, dropping the brakes quickly again, as you can see, threshold braking, and then as I start turning in, I drop the brakes fairly quickly, back on throttle way before I even hit the apex, and again that's just to lift the fronts a bit and to keep my speed up. Hitting that curb, not too much though, because you can bottom out and you can spin, which I may have done, but bouncing off of that curb and then getting your wheels just on this white curb as well. Flat out through here, running all the way wide on exit. Now coming to the hairpin, braking just after the 2 board, hitting 100%, but then trailing off fairly quickly as you start turning in. Turning in just around this board here, or another thing you can be looking at is this line across the track. Taking a late apex for this corner right here, as you can see, and that is to get a good exit onto this back straight, which is the longest straight on the track. So getting a good exit will give you a good run on a car ahead, if there is one. I found it was easy to get some oversteer as well, so getting to the maximum throttle point without any wheel spin is good, and then as the steering unwinds, increasing the throttle. Now coming to the Wall of Champions chicane, braking at this house or just before the 2 board. This house might be better to look at because it's a bit closer, but hitting 100% and dropping the brakes quickly. I found it was pretty easy to get some oversteer into this corner because you're going super fast and then you're getting right to 100% brakes, and you have to turn in fairly quickly and early. So dropping the brakes soon, back on throttle right here so you can hop the curb and counteract that oversteer. These voice cracks are killing me. Hopping that curb, making sure you don't go too far to the left or too far to the right. You also want to hit this curb a bit, not too much, otherwise you will bottom out or get pushed out too wide, and not too little, otherwise there's time there to be gained. So getting your left side wheels on this curb about this much, I found, was the sweet spot. And being extremely careful on exit, because it is the famous Wall of Champions exit here, so getting as close to the wall as possible there, and then running wide to this concrete wall here was good. Alright, so that concludes today's lap guide video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on track.